I've been thinking lately about time and space in all of its expansion and how far thought can go outside of a physical standpoint. Um, I was thinking to pass the time this morning and was making my way through a very particularly lovely moist banana cupcake. Tea was excellent with baking. I realised was something of a personification of our own minds, which sure, you might think, no doubt, but I want to take this a step further than just that thought. So try and hear me out here for a second. We attach ourselves to the idea that our bodies are us, but that's actually only one form of ourselves that we know. That because it is, we know. Am I making sense? Probably not. But in my experience as a tech witch, I've found that you can actually identify molecules. I think that's how the word's said. Maybe it's moleculous. Anyway, you can identify them by these released nanos very easily, and I can't find their source, but they've been here for a long time. But these nanos have the ability to track their own travel and even potentially reverse time, or not really reverse time itself, but create repetitions of time, and there are, in some of them, memories of chemicals they formerly were, and such like that. Like, they just kind of have evolved into their own type of biomech, I guess? It's really interesting. But I read an article recently that there's a theory that the human mind is essentially in overdrive, and we're not quite living, but considering I don't live in any specific time period anymore, it's not really something that I can know quite like you do. But there's an infinite number of possibilities and theories that I've only scratched the surface of whether or not they are potentially true or possible or things like that. For now, I'm just going to continue my research and see if I can utilise the nanos in the boutique system. Kia ora everyone, this is the Black Sea and your host Nico Iona reporting to you all from the engine room of the Bug Eyes Boutique. Today, we're going to be doing things a little different than usual. As you've just heard, setting us off today was the Curious Case of Space and Nanocules, which is not actually the official name for it. It's just this sort of diary log that I did a while back. And nanocules is just a word that I've come up with to sort of give it a name, because I have no idea what this is that I'm dealing with. But it ties into today's other bit, which is something called an ask and answer session. Tiba says that ask and answer sessions are usually just called Q&As, but that doesn't sound as catchy to me, so ask and answers it is. I think this month is going to start us off great with the first question, which is from Ernie, and Ernie says, Dear Black Sea Broadcasting, I've been having a lot of trouble with practicing my craft and finding my affinity. My other friends who are witches say that my way of practice is wrong. I prefer marbles over tarot, and my sigils are undefined by any grimoire, but it's my practice, isn't it? How do I explain this to my friends without them taking it the wrong way? Well, I know the easiest answer to this is get new friends, but that's cheap and cheats you out of a good answer, I feel like. So instead, I'm going to go into some reasons and explain why I'm saying either get new friends or that you might potentially have to confront them. Because I know passive behaviors are the easiest to fall back on, especially because the last thing you want to do is start a fight. However, I'd like you to consider the fact that communication is key to any relationship, platonic, romantic, family, acquaintance, networking, whatever it is, communication is, it's very important to get things across to other people. Obviously, what you need or what you want out of them, or to affirm or reassure that you're going to be, I guess, potentially working with this person in a healthy way. And you know, sure, you don't want to start a fight. That's fine. And the thing is, when you confront people, you might start a fight, and you might feel alone. You might feel regret, and you might even feel blame for yourself after the fact. But would you rather stay silent and allow yourself to be passively disrespected and only further misunderstood in your intentions? Because here's the thing, you might fight, you might lose those friends, but there are so many people. It wouldn't be impossible that if you were to try and communicate with others, that you might not find other people in your life. People who might enter your life, and it turns out those people weren't understanding, maybe things didn't work, and that doesn't necessarily make them bad. It just means that sometimes things don't work out between people, and that's fine, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna be alone forever. But the thing is, you do deserve to be allowed to have the safe space to practice your craft the way you will. If you're not part of their coven, and you're not part of their circuit, or whatever they might call their group, and if you're possibly a standalone witch on your own, Ernie, they don't control the entities who might be standing behind what you cast. If there's any entity at all behind what you cast, at least. I know in most practice crafts of being a tech witch, you often don't have something behind what you cast, some sort of entity. Some people do, I don't, but I'm going to use tech witches as an example because it's what I know. Because there was a time when tech witches, which I never lived through this time period, by the way, I just want to say that real quick, they were considered sort of outcasts in comparison to other witches because their performance and their practices were based less on the conventional craft of using like wands of wood and crystal and aligning themselves to any identified or unidentified being of higher power. It was less about having a sort of entity or deity or being of a higher power behind what you cast, and more based on the self, which is why a lot of tech witches don't have a coven or a circuit either. But rather than answering to an entity too, tech witches have found an affinity with technology that was formerly considered unearthly because humanity forgot its own earthbound status and didn't realize that man-made still made it technically earth-made. And yeah, not only that, but you know, after a while most people realize that most practices and crafts weren't strictly earthbound anymore after a point. Humanity might have thought of themselves as above the ecosystem, but like the trees, they still grew and created more, you know? Like, I'm not saying that mech is the leaves of humanity's tree, like, it's not quite like that, but it kind of is. That humanity, or maybe it's not even just leaves, it's so many different parts of the tree, you know? Okay, so right now, I'm the sole tech witch engineer of a boutique that floats in the void. Which is pretty wild, but basically, my job is to make it move and float in the void without it being swallowed into the non-ether, and opening gateways to several entrances and exits of the boutique to different parts of existence. But usually putting focus on the actual entrance is what I do, because that's where people come and go. That's the front boutique lobby. That's where most of the customers are going to show up. But for me, in my practice, a good code is the same as a good spell, and I keep them in my own personal grimoire with notes and what have you. I don't follow shared guidelines of other tech witches. I just kind of go offhand. Like, for example, I've been looking into these things called nanocules. That they're not actually called that. I just keep calling them that because I literally don't know what else to call them. But they're essentially the makeup of existence. Kind of like they have become part of existence to the point where you can't really tell them apart. And they've been around for a long time, and I did some vocal documentation on them and took some notes, so I'm going to share those today to kind of give you an example of practicing your craft even though it's not within the conventional means of others. Like, I found this out, the more nanocules there are in a person, the more they become something referred to as biomech. Some are technically born completely biomech, which is just basically living machinery, and then some people have it plugged. For me, Manaya plugged me, I guess. That's how she referred to it anyway, but Tiba made a face when she said that, and he told me not to say it like that on the radio, but here we are. Anyway, here's another recording on the discoveries I made on the nanocules to give more context on answering Ernie's question. Oh, okay, so this thing is recording? Alright, so this is probably going to sound confusing, but I'm actually stuck in a loop. I'm not sure if it's going to stop. Tiba told me the time over the past day, maybe even longer, and he gives me a different answer each time. And we're semi-forgetting things because the nanocules have actually been reversing time, or rather existence, in the boutique. It's not necessarily time, but the events, and it's reversing per 2 hours, what? And we go through similar situations over and over again. I've only just now cut on to it, what's happening. What? Sorry everyone, that wasn't the right recording, I think. It's marked as Ernie context, listen immediately in the folder, but, well, the date says it was made a few days ago. While I try to figure out what's going on, I'm going to take you all to a jammed signal, and when we get back, we'll talk more about Ernie's question and possibly figure out whether or not the nanocules are still possibly in effect.
Lie awake at night, lie to yourself, it's alright. I'm waking up, and I'm waking up, it's alright. And everything is coming to a point. A point. And now there's just this time. The weight is killing me. I've hurt myself tonight, just not in the way it seems. And sometimes I find comfort in ways I'd feel very ashamed of. Oh no. And now there's just this time. This month is gonna end. This thing is gonna change. It's all gonna bounce back. Because I know that I am not who I look like anymore. And there's never been a time where I wouldn't hate myself anymore. No, but now there's just this time. The times are changing. This body will be mine, and for once I am alive.
And welcome back! I'm wondering now if actually the nanocules are the reason I just realised we've been playing the same artist over and over on the jam signal, or maybe all I have is this one artist. I'm not sure. I wonder if I should look into finding more music. Anyway, it's fine for now, I guess. The nanocules are more important to focus on. Right now I'm having trouble finding the source of their being to kind of figure out how to stop them from reversing things, or if I accidentally set something so that it continues to reverse. I don't know, but anyway, here's a public service announcement. The president of the Sponge Hive Mind has announced, everything is fine. Go on with your day. There's nothing weird here. Nothing at all. This segment has been brought to you by Sponge Hive Mind. Join the hive today, tomorrow, or whenever. We'll find you eventually.
Hey everyone, Babyhands Bell here with some cool news. First of all, I'm about to slam dunk through the fourth wall. What's up? My name is Blythe outside of this fictional hardshell crab, and now I've got human hands and feet, so I don't have to tape a spoon in my hand anymore. But I might, method acting. Acting aside though, I've got my own webcomic in the works, which can be found over at tapas.io/lambit. That's tapas.io/lambit. You can also find my art blog on Tumblr over at Bloomy Art. No space, hyphens, or capitals, spelled BELLUMIART. If you'd like to show me some love, my Patreon and Picardo names are also just Bloomy. That's BELLUMI. Today's jab signal was Melt by Vivian Aladren, and with that I take you back to the Black Sea broadcast.
The gender of the month is Jules. You might identify with them all, with their glimmering, multifaceted surface, some cracked, some smudged, and perhaps you like yourself this way. Or perhaps you feel that you identify with a certain stone in particular. The stars in blue sandstone, the gleam of pearl, or even the stark contrasts of rhodonite. Whatever jewel or jewels you'd identify with, regardless of the possible rough edges you might have, your identity is valid and worth visibility. Keep shining on, gems. Hey guys, Cecil Marie Graham here. As you've probably realized up until this point, the series has met with the unfortunate circumstance where it might end up looping into itself for a bit until our protagonist Nick can find a way out of it. Will they? Who knows, probably. But only because I enjoy making the series. This episode doesn't have any content warnings, of course, or else you would have heard me at the start of the episode to give those. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode or any of the other episodes or have comments, questions, or suggestions, you can contact me through the blacksea.podcast@gmail.com. That's blacksea.podcast@gmail.com. Also, this summer I'm going to be moving around a lot, so July's episode is going to be very different and voiced by two very talented individuals that are part of the cast. They are named Casper and Alex. More information will be given on them next month. And August we'll be doing a behind-the-scenes intermission of sorts. So there's some fun stuff in store being worked on for your entertainment. Anyway, stay tuned because coming up next we're going to do something a little bit more interesting than usual. Anyway, enjoy! Hello there. My name is Nico and I'm currently 23 years old and working full-time as an engineer tech bitch to the Bug Eyes Boutique. I'm still getting to know the system itself, considering I've only been working here part-time until now, but to document my misadventures, I guess, through time and space and the cosmos itself, I decided I wanted to start doing live broadcasts. You know, to share my experiences with you. Never mind, that was a really boring intro. That probably won't go on the air. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to know how this works, and I actually don't know how radio broadcasts work. I don't live in reality like you do. I'm outside of it, and there's only so much I can do out here in the void. I know there's bad, but I know there's good too, and I just want to try to add to the good however much I can. Things aren't easy, and I know things are really, really difficult for a lot of people, and I know I said I want to document my experiences and I guess adventures through the cosmos, but more than that, I want to take you guys where I can and when I can. I want us to be able to find the good that there is together. And I'm thinking the show is gonna go a little something like this.